Hi, and welcome to the What News session for B1 Usability Package version 2019.10 release. This is a quality of life release with a bunch of new nice small features for the existing functionality. So let's get into it. First up is in web dashboards. In web dashboards, we now have made one of the most requested features, which is the auto refresh option. So when you log in with the dashboard now, you have this one more combo box where you can go in and tell if you want to have auto refresh of these functionalities. And this is good for people that put dashboards up to a big screen in a warehouse and so on. And in the past, they needed to go in and do a refresh manually. Now you can do it, as you see here, every minute, every 5 minutes, however you want to set it up. And also, the refresh is actually better now. In the past, if you did it too often, it would actually end up you not getting the new data. Sounds strange from a technical perspective. It made sense. Now it actually update much more regular instead of also with the manual refresh. As always, the web dashboards is on this URL, not part of the normal download, but you get it directly from this URL instead. Moving on to printer delivery. A nice little feature when you do the administration is you can now, from a report action, just like you can from a universal function, ask where it's used. So report actions can of course be used in various report configurations, but it can also be used by other report actions in terms of conditional actions and multiple actions. So you can easily get to whenever you, for example, if you want to delete this, why can't I delete it? It's actually because of these three configurations that I can then navigate to. So nice little quality of life. Moving on to another quality of life feature for Master Data Manager. Master Data Manager is a cool tool to batch update, of course, instead of DTW, but it has always been a pain to go through the entire menu structure, administration, add-ons, B1 Usability Package, module configuration, Master Data Manager, and then you went to the Master Data Manager. So now we have made shortcuts all over the place. So for example, if you just are on Business Partner Master Data and you are a super user, it will only show up for those. You can simply right-click and say Master Data Manager. Go to there. Charts of account, you can do it. Form settings, you can get to the form settings manager, and so on. So all the places where it makes sense, you can simply right-click now and get to the action. Moving on to universal functions, a small but for those who need it, very important detail is that we have the variables, the square brackets percentage 0, percentage 1, and so on. They have always been able to be used in the SQL. You can use them in the titles, and now you can also use them in the each column title as well. So you can see I'm using them here, and when I have defined them, I can actually end up with this. Especially good if you export these data into Excel and want these data to be part of it. And then a bunch of small quality of life features. I have listed the 9 biggest ones here just for your reference. So we have added much more e-learning around various places, especially around printer delivery, so it's easier to understand. Item placement tool have gotten a better explanation on why dynamic syntax can't be used in invalid values. With good sense, it links to the e-learning about the macros set valid values and clear valid values. It gave some confusion in some support cases, so now the product itself will tell you why instead of you needing to ask us in support. We removed the dependency of the SBO common database, something you really need to care about, but it's a preparation for SAP Business One 10. We added better warning if you try to to set up a server component and then set it up again against the same database. Last release we showed you the new window where you can check which server components are linked to what databases, but now it will actually also pre-warn you if you try to set it up incorrectly. New names in various dashboard elements. So for example, the list of dashboard widgets was actually called the dashboard editor. Was not really the name. There was just something called settings, which was really view settings and so on. So we just given them much more logical names. They might confuse the first time you just see them, but they are much more logical if once you get to know the system better. MailChimp usability and how you put on things on lists, small things, much better UDT handler performance when having many rows. So for example, when you have extreme number of rows, like for example 10,000, it could in the past take over a minute to load. Now you're down to seconds. So a huge load performance when you have many data. In small amount of data you won't really notice, but in the huge load it will. We're making a small change to quick create where the name is mandatory now, because it ended up giving some odd error messages because the name is actually also used in the address. So why not, given that name is mandatory in 99% of all cases. And finally, we have increased various lengths of fields. For example, the form type field in B1 validation system was only 100 characters long. If you had some long form type names and needed to go through multiple of them in the same configuration, you would end up running out of space there. So we have increased them to 54 characters long instead. So again, everything is in the change log as always, if you want to know the very small details, but these was just some highlights. So as always, the preview is out now, and if all goes as planned, the release will be on the 8th of October. And on the normal download pages as always. So with that, thank you for watching, and I hope it was beneficial.